All right, so the moment I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for, I'm gonna do a little walkthrough of my Gheenoe setup here. This is a Gheenoe Classic. It's 15 foot 6 inches. And let's go ahead and start with the power first. I've got a 15 horsepower Suzuki 4-stroke on here, which will get this going about 20 to 21 miles an hour with one person and fully loaded with gear, tackle, and all that. Then we'll go ahead and start up front with the trolling motor. I've got a Minn Kota Riptide. This is a power drive. It's a 55-pound, 48-inch shaft, which is ideal for this size of a boat. And I actually converted this over to have iPilot. As you can see, I have this cable running through. It was just a piece that you replace on the head and basically run the wire down, and you connect 3 wires inside, and that basically converts the entire motor to an iPilot, which has all the features, you know, autopilot, spot lock, which will keep you in place anchored up. So definitely a plus to have on board. Now up front, I have a cooler. This is basically like my casting platform that I have up front, and I have it mounted with a bungee to the cleats on either side. Gives me a nice elevated platform and also holds all my drinks and food for the day. I had put down some cheap, basically like marine mat on here just to get rid of any noise if I happen to, you know, like drop something while I'm fishing. So definitely helps with that. And then up front, I also have mounted a rod holder to the nose cap. And this is handy because if I'm standing up here and I'm fishing and I have to put the rod down for whatever reason, if I'm switching out lures, or, you know, if I catch a fish, I want to put the rod in the rod holder, I can do that without having to set it down, possibly stepping on it, breaking it, and things like that. So definitely helps with that. Then moving along, I have a tackle web here mounted to the inside of the hull, and that's where I keep my hook remover and also my fish grips there. I've got a cup holder mounted there. And this here is basically my console. These are all RAM mounts right here. This is for my phone. I put my phone here, and that way I can use that for navigation if I want to. Also, if I want to look at the satellite maps really quick, definitely helps with that. Then I have a Simrad Go 7. This is a side imaging fish finder. Definitely nice to have on board. Now, everything I have it mounted to here, this is just a metal plate. This actually came with the boat when I got it from my buddy. I'm not sure where it came from. Looks like it was possibly custom made, but I'm able to mount the fish finder on there with a ball mount and also the phone holder. And then right here I have my picture taker. It's basically how I get the pictures of the fish while I'm fishing. This is a GoPro with a Jaws clamp mount. Just clamp it to the side of the Gheenoe there, and I can easily take it off, move it if I need to, if I want to, you know, want a different position or angle while I'm on the boat, getting a picture of the fish. And then we'll slide down to the center of the boat here. This is the center bench. This here is the steering. It is a stick steer system. As you can see there, the benefit of this is that it eliminates having a console in the middle with a steering wheel, which can take up space. So definitely nice to have. Also, it's pretty fun. If you've never used a stick steer, it's fun to drive a boat with one of these, and also keeps you from having to sit in the rear of the boat, having to use a tiller on the motor, which can, you know, put a lot of weight in the back of the boat, which can be a little bit dangerous if you don't have the weight balanced. And just to give a nice view here of how open this is, having that stick steer, you know, you've got the stick steer out to the side. I have all my electronics out to the right there. Then I have a nice straight shot up and down the middle of the boat. That way I'm not tripping over everything. Then next, the battery is mounted right behind the rear bench. This helps with weight distribution, just because I'll have the battery in the middle. I'm usually sitting in the middle while I'm driving. Then you have the motor and the gas tank in the back. And then you have the cooler up front. So you definitely want to make sure you have your weight distributed evenly when you're fishing from one of these. And then now we'll work our way to the back. I have mounted some rod holders here, just handy to have. So again, you're not laying your rods down and possibly having them break, because again, you are limited on space here. So to have them nice and upright out of the way definitely helps. I have stored my life jackets under the back bench. And as you can see, I've made a little elevated platform there to keep them, you know, from getting wet. because water will get in here, and just gives it a way to keep things dry so they don't get wet and smelly. So definitely a plus to make that. I just made it out of some PVC pipe and a little rubber mat to keep them up off of the floor. Then as we go to the back of the boat, you'll notice I have a micro power pole mounted right here. This I mainly use in the shallows. I don't like to use the spot lock on the motor in the shallows because it can spook fish very easily, because it'll turn on full speed and make a lot of noise. So this is definitely nice to have when you are fishing in the shallows. Automatic remote here, down, up. As you can see, we will go down. That'll anchor you up on the bottom very nicely. And the way I have it mounted here is with a clamp. This is a power pole, this is a clamp, and I have used some spacers. These are just some hard plastic spacers that I cut using some old board that I have. It was just a very hard, dense plastic. I have 2 on this side, then I have 1 on the outside of the hole, just to keep it straight and also to help keep from cracking the hole itself. Then the gas tank I'm running here, this is a 6-gallon tank, and it'll run this thing all day and then some, 20 to 30 miles round trip, no problem with this 15 horsepower, 4-stroke Suzuki. And again, 6 gallons, get you through plenty of trips. Then lastly, a few small things you might notice. I have this dry bag here. This keeps all my first aid, also my rain gear in there, and any small things that I may need. In the middle, forgot to mention here, what we have in the middle hatch. I use this all for storage. Now this side is a working live well. However, I just use it for storage. I don't really use live bait. If I do use live bait, I'll just bring a cooler with me, another cooler, and then put the bait in that cooler. So you have storage on both sides, fire extinguisher. I have some extra tools in here, binoculars, extra stuff that I might need. Also, very important to have on board is an extra toolkit for your trolling motor in case you have a shear pin break. I have multiple shear pins in here, and also the proper tools to replace the shear pin if I need to. So definitely want to have that on board. I've had a few experiences getting stuck with no trolling motor because I didn't have the tools and the extra replacement parts. And one last thing as we go to the back here, go ahead and show you how I have my side imaging transducer set up. This is a transducer here. It is flush with the hole. That way, if I do hit bottom or anything, it doesn't take any damage, because if you have it too low and you hit something on the bottom, it will hit that transducer, and you don't want to damage that. So again, these are really big transducers with side imaging, so make sure you have them mounted properly. And this here, this can really serve as multiple purposes. You can mount stuff to it. You can use it to get yourself back into the boat if you happen to fall out. But what this was, it was a poling platform. I actually chopped it off because it was putting too much stress on the transom. This hull is a 1996, so it's a little older, and we did have some pressure cracks around the inside, and that was most likely due to all the weight on the back with also a person on board. So I just chopped that off, and I do plan to get a platform built over the back here, which can definitely help with poling. I do have some brackets to put a push pull on here, so that's definitely in the works, which can help if you do get really shallow, because sometimes the trolling motor can't get as shallow as the actual boat can. So definitely good to have a poling platform on the back, just so you can get in those really skinny areas. So this is my setup here, and I use this pretty much every week going out filming insider reports for our insider members, where I show exactly where I'm going, what I'm doing, and why I'm going to the spots that I'm going to based on the conditions and the trends. Because what it comes down to is that 90-10 rule, where 90% of the fish are in 10% of the water. And it definitely helps to have something like this to get to that 10% of the water where the fish are. So if you need help finding that 90-10 zone in your area, go ahead and click the link down below, or go to saltstrong.com/recipe, and you'll get a customized video just for you in your area. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them down below.